Okay, let's talk about some tuning tips and best practices. The first thing you have to do when you're tuning QRaw is you have to tune QRadar. So why does tuning QRadar matter, right? Well, because tuning QRadar is very critical to the success of QRaw because it reduces number of fences being generated. Like you can't have 1,000 offenses being generated a day and expect QRA to investigate them all. They'll investigate them all, but most likely that the fact is that most of those offenses won't be true offenses, and so you'd be just wasting everyone's time by having QRadar Advisor investigate them, right? So you should have a fairly well-tuned QRadar system to separate the important fences from the noise, right? And obviously the goal is to reduce the offenses down to a manageable level for your SOC to handle and to detect those important events, right? And so you can look at those offenses, get the events and the data, and then send it to QRaw for analysis, right? And then so by submitting actual relevant IOCs allows QRaw to return more relevant, more rich, more useful results. But fortunately, to help you with the tuning of QRaw or QRadar, you should use the QRadar Assistant and the QRadar, yeah, the use case manager. Um, so you look at here is just so you tune your QRadar offenses by analyzing rules that cause the biggest number of offenses. That is the most important thing right there. Because any sales engineer CTP you talk to say this is how you tune QRadar is you be able to run this report or go into this use case manager, the QRadar assistant, and you can see which rules are firing the most. And the ones that are firing the most, those are the ones that need tuning. So you you go and you tune the rules that are firing the most and generating the most offenses, and you tune those out because if they're firing too much, that means that's more noise. And then you tune those out. The ones that aren't firing as often are usually more the ones you want to look at in terms of you want to investigate. But again, use your curator assistant, use the use case manager in order to help you get your offenses down to a manageable level. That's something that your SOC can handle. And then once you have that, this is where QRadar Advisor takes over by doing the first step, the first steps of the investigative process, the stuff that's repeated or that's consistently repeated over and redundant, where like the data mining, the relationship gathering, the threat intelligence correlation, let QRaw do all that for you, but you can't do it on 1,000 per day. Tune your QRadar, get your offenses down to a decent level, and then start doing your using QRaw to investigate the offenses. And here's another screenshot of the the active rules that generate CRE events. And as you can see, in this graph here, the orange and the blue, there's two rules that are taking up over 64% of the system's um, active rules or fire rules that are firing. So you can see this would be the two best place to start. Tune those rules out, and you can see the ones that are smaller are probably the ones that are actually detecting real threats, and those are the ones you'd want to look at. But first thing you'd have to do is to look at these two big rules that are firing. Of course, any more questions on this, you can talk to your local sales engineer or CTP.